Hey there YouTube, this is SJM4306 back with another video. This time, it's another electronics kit assembly thing. This kit specifically is provided by a company called GeekLJT, and they very kindly sent this in, not really for review, I guess, just to have fun. So we're just going to do a little soldering. This is something that also will kind of be something useful in the end. It is a soldering kit for a Bluetooth speaker, and you can see here, this is one of these little, I think 2-inch speakers-ish, and it has a laser cut acrylic frame. So this is going to be a little bit of soldering, a little bit of, actually a lot of bit of peeling paper from acrylic, which is always fun. Yeah, well, we'll get through it together. And yeah, last but not least, a little bit of soldering. So, yeah, let's just see exactly what this kit entails. So we got 2 speakers here. You can see here the cutouts, it's about yay long, and yeah, it's got one of these like all-in-one boards that do like Bluetooth, auxiliary in, etc. And I'm gonna have to grab a knife, aren't I? Give me 1 sec. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't know off the top of my head how much this kit costed, so I'm just going to put a little thingy here, just so that you guys know. I hate whenever I see a video where someone shows off a product and they fail to mention the price. That just pisses me off, because I don't want to have to go to the site to check the price. If I'm not interested in buying it, then that just wastes my time. So anywho, so yeah, that's the price. And it does come with an auxiliary cable, which looks like a decent length, probably about like a foot and a half. And a mini, I was hoping for USB-C, but oh well. A mini USB cable, or micro. That's a micro, wow, I'm blind. Okay, micro USB. We've got a bag of a bunch of parts. I see a jack, some buttons, capacitors, resistors, a little chip here, that's probably the amplifier chip, and another chip here. No idea, I'm gonna have to look at part numbers when we actually go to assemble this. We have the Bluetooth chip. So these are all-in-one sort of things. Everything's on board for the Bluetooth here, and there's just 5 pins. I'm pretty sure I've used this exact same thing to mod one of my JBL speakers once in a past video. So probably have used this exact chip in the past. Well, not this exact one, but the same model. It looks very similar. So that's cool. We've got some wires, okay, and some more wires, undoubtedly for the speaker, and the PCB wrapped in some paper. Ooh, this reminds me of like old kits from like the 90s. They would come with a photocopied piece of paper and like the phenolic PCB just sort of sandwiched in between. Oh man, those were the good days. Anywho, here we have the PCB itself. Okay, so I'm going to comment on the design of the PCB a little bit right now. They did a cutout under the Bluetooth chip. That's good, because if they didn't, then you get even worse coverage. But they did not cut down the bottom layer. So, I was going to give them credit and say good job for masking off the area, but then they don't mask it off on the bottom layers, so that kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah, you're really supposed to, if you have like a wireless chip that has an onboard antenna, you're supposed to use the, the restrict or the stop layer to prevent copper filling, like the copper polygon pore on either side of the board, so that you can allow radio waves in. But yeah, it hangs off the board a little bit, honestly, when you go to solder it. So that might not be the end of the world. We'll see. We'll see how range is. I know you're not buying this to like setting world records probably in terms of Bluetooth range. We have 3 buttons on, off, V- and V+, or track forward and backwards. So that's neat that they have those on board. An analog potentiometer, the Bluetooth chip, power switch, audio input jack, USB. Yeah, just like a USB jack that only has like 2 pins. That's interesting. Have to dig that out. And we have the 4 pins for the audio output. And oh, it looks like they're using these are not Class D, these are like linear amplifier chips they're using, in 1 per channel. So that's interesting. Yeah, I mean the board itself is like made well, like manufactured well. It's It's designed decently. I mean, you got thicker traces for all the power signals and whatnot. So yeah, no, right angles, unsubscribe. No, I'm joking. Yeah. But I mean, it looks decent. It'll work. This is not a high reliability application or anything like that. Let's just see the documentation. So here we go. Dual channel Bluetooth audio soldering kit. Yeah, complete with like it's been photocopied many times. Complete with like, I don't know if they had like dirt or dust on the flatbed scanner or on the paper that they scanned, but yeah, so complete with detritus on there. Installation tips, components. You got your bomb, everything a growing boy needs, and on the back you got operating parameters, I guess, and all. Okay, so yeah, you have to scan a QR code for actual detailed instructions. So this isn't really an assembly instruction sort of thing. This is just a sheet that tells you a little bit of information about it and gives you a text description, but you're going to have to, if you want pictures, you're going to have to follow this QR code. So, I don't really need any manuals or anything, so I'm just going to assemble this kind of by logic and by ear, and we'll see how it goes. I don't foresee any problems. That's interesting. Why are these traces all the way over to the edge? Huh. Okay, anywho, let's get this to the bench and actually assemble all this, and then we can do like a quick sound quality test. Even though these like acrylic cases aren't the best acoustically, this is just going to be like a little, I don't know, bedside speaker. Maybe if you want to like listen to audiobooks or something, or just like watch YouTube videos. This is not going to be like a high quality speaker, but it's more for the journey and not necessarily the final product. So let's assemble this guy. Okay, so here I am on the bench, and I have all the parts. I'm going to do this a little differently. Normally I go through and step by step and do it all in real time. I just feel like relaxing. I want to put on some music and, you know, copyright and stuff, so I'm not gonna do any voiceover or whatever, but I'm just gonna assemble this. I probably will end up speeding up the video because I'm just gonna do this casually. And let's just flip on the iron, let that heat up. I'm gonna put on some music and let's just enjoy ourselves. So after I'm done, if I found anything noteworthy to mention or difficult or whatever, I'll make a comment on it towards the end. But yeah, let's just at least get the board assembled now and just relax and have a good time. Okay, so all in all, this kit was actually very well put together in terms of the circuit board so far. Even came with a couple of spare parts in case you messed up. So yeah, it was pretty easy to do. The only thing that might have been hard for like a beginner would be these surface mount chips, and maybe doing this. I mean, the pin pitch on this is low, but because you're doing like a surface mount castellated board to another board, it might be a little difficult. I don't know. You could always just use a standard pin header though, if that gave you trouble. Like I don't think I have one here. Like these guys. You can buy strips of these. Obviously it doesn't come with these, but yeah, you could just put a set of 5 of these in there if you didn't want to surface mount solder that chip. But yeah, other than that, it was actually pretty easy to do. The bracket was a little bent on one of the ears. I just bent it back with pliers. It's not going to hurt it. Yeah. So now that we're all soldered up, let's assemble the case. Oh yeah, also soldering this this USB connector thingy, because it's like a weird surface mount sort of thing. It's not a tight pin pitch once again, but I guess if you didn't assemble this in the right order, you're going to want to do like the lower parts first. If you soldered the caps and then tried to do this part, it would be very hard to get your iron in there without melting everything around it. But anywho, let's actually go through and assemble the case. I'm going to do the same thing. We're just going to throw back on some music and chillax and assemble the case and get this all ready to go. Okay, so I'm done. There's a couple of screws and nuts and whatnot left, but so I didn't follow any instructions or anything. I didn't even go online to the QR code and like look up the installation instructions that they suggested. I just kind of did this by ear, I guess, sort of, you could say. And yeah, it went together. I don't know if it's together correctly, but she's together, and it sort of seems to kind of be somewhat rigid-ish, as rigid as acrylic and random screws and standoffs could be. But yeah, she's together. Let's. I'm not expecting this to sound like absolutely amazing, but let's plug this into something and just run a quick test, see how it sounds. Okay, so here we are. I have fully assembled this. I made a little oopsie. I don't know if you saw in the video. Those two capacitors right here and right here, I actually forgot to solder them. I thought that they were extra capacitors, and I don't know, I'm blind, I guess. I did not see them, just like my mind did not see the forest for the tree of capacitors or whatever. So when I first tested them, I didn't have those soldered, and it sounded horrible. And I was like, wow, I'm used to like, mediocre speakers, but this was like even worse than I expected. It was exceedingly bad. And then I saw through the top lid, I was like, geez, forgot those capacitors. I had to take apart almost the whole thing again just to get to them. The assembly for the electronics was very straightforward, very good, 10 out of 10. The physical assembly of the case, I didn't use instructions. That's my own fault. I guess I wanted the extra challenge or whatever. So I installed this just by logicking it out, and it wasn't horrible, but there were several things that sort of confused me, I guess, like the lengths of these pillars. You can see there's a gap. It doesn't quite fit exactly. And the same way for these vertical ones, you're supposed to like tension it up once you get all the sides on. And it's just sort of little things like that, not knowing which screws necessarily go where. Would have helped if they had like a printed out manual. They have like the schematic and very generic information about like the text installation steps, but it would have helped instead of having this QR code and you have to download it and print out a PDF. Would have helped if they just included that, but maybe I'm being nitpicky. Yeah, this isn't like a very expensive kit or anything like that. So maybe I'm expecting too much. But yeah, it wasn't even horrible. It took me maybe an extra half hour faffing about to figure this out on my own without any manuals or anything. So it's doable. The construction is actually really solid. They include like vertical cross beams to like kind of squish it in this dimension as well as along the axis of the body of the speaker. So it's actually, there is a little bit give, and if you really push it, you can get some creakage. But when you snug all these screws up, it's actually way more solid than I would have thought for like a plexiglass little speaker thingy. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? It's decently well designed, wasn't horrible to put together. Pretty happy. If your purpose was to figure out how to build a Bluetooth speaker, then yeah. The only thing is no internal battery, which I can understand. A lot of companies don't want to deal with the hassle of lithium-ion batteries, shipping them and having users solder them. So yeah, they forego that, but all you really need then is just a USB battery bank, and then this becomes portable. So yeah, we have an aux in port here. We have Bluetooth internal, and then we have... The interesting thing about this design is it's redundant in a couple ways. There's a hard power switch here, then there's a soft power switch, and they both do the same thing. They both turn it off, but you need to leave the hard one on in order to use the soft one, which is kind of weird. We have a volume wheel here, and then if you, I believe if you long press these two buttons, is up and then down. So you have like a digital and an analog volume control. So it's sort of weird. It sort of definitely feels like someone designed the circuit separate from the person who, implemented the soft controls inside the Bluetooth module. Anyway, I'll just plug this in. We'll turn it on. Instantly starts getting power. And it is trying to connect, I guess, to my phone, which I'm recording right now. So I'm going to, yeah, it just connected. I'm going to actually stop recording so I can switch that off and then pair it to my tablet here. So give me 1 sec on that. Okay, so we're connected. It connected without any issues here. See, it's called MHM18. Just rolls right off the tongue. It's whatever. You can actually, usually, if you access an AT mode on most of these Bluetooth chips, you can usually change the name of them. But they obviously just defaulted to whatever the mechanical name or technical name of that chip is or whatever. But it's connected. I'm just going to open YouTube and play a little bit of my video. Just turn the volume. I think volume is backwards. It's all the way up to the left and all the way down to the right, which really confuses me. Get this in shot, and let's just see my trailer. So this is max volume. Obviously this controls it. Like I said, it's like backwards. I would expect it to turn up if I turned it to the right, but it turns down when I turn it to the right. And there's also digital volume control. You have to press and hold this. If you do a short press, it'll act as a track skip button. And there is no play pause button. So yeah, gets really loud. And honestly, for something that you make out of clear plastic, this sounds way better than it has any right to be. It's still not amazing, don't get me wrong. Like, this is not going to compete against like a consumer Bluetooth speaker like a Bose or anything like that, but it does sound better than I thought it would. Plus there's no bass port venting or anything. There's no passive radiators. But yeah, pretty decent. Definitely decent to just like watch random videos and stuff, and maybe just have like enough audio to fill like a small room. But yeah. Definitely good enough to watch random videos. Like the videos on this channel, so little self-plug there. There we go. So yeah. Let's just put on some talkie video. Here you can see I have like 30 some odd. You definitely start getting distortion once you get up like past 70% volume, but up until then it's fine. BYJ-48, and these are 5-volt stepper motors. You can like feel the air coming off that, so it's really moving these speakers. Sorry about that. So you can definitely feel the air coming off the speakers, so it's like really moving them. It's actually pretty surprising for like these small, I believe these are like class AB amp chips. They're not digital or anything, but they're pretty effective in terms of, you know, the volume levels they can get to, especially off of just a 5-volt rail. And I do like that you can see the Bluetooth chip, you know, glowing blue there. That's pretty cool. If I were like a, you know, 13-year-old or 14-year-old kid just getting into electronics and I wanted to learn how to solder, this would have been a really good way of learning that, plus like mechanical assembly and that kind of stuff, and getting a functional Bluetooth speaker out of it. That's really cool. I'm gonna have to look at the price on this. I forget off the top of my head. I think it was like somewhere around like 20 or 30 bucks, which I would say is actually a really reasonable price for something like this. Sure, you could go out and buy a pre-built Bluetooth speaker, but that's not the point of these kits. These kits are to build something, to learn a little bit about building and soldering and assembling, and to get something functional at the end of the day beyond just flashing lights. So yeah, this is something really cool. I'm gonna definitely keep this on the shelf just as a random Bluetooth speaker. I have plenty of Bluetooth speakers, so I probably am not going to specifically reach for this to listen to music, but definitely this is sort of a conversation starter. I might actually stick this on my desk at work, and people probably almost definitely ask me about what it is and how I got it and whatnot, because it looks really cool. I really dig the clear electronic aesthetic, and might also be kind of worth it to stick. You can get 18650s. I could make my own rechargeable solution thing here, tap off the 5 volts for there so it can charge itself, and then I can make this totally wireless. So if you would like to see me in a future video add an 18650 and make this into a totally rechargeable wireless Bluetooth speaker, let me know. It should be easy enough. I could figure that out and sort of make a tutorial. So if you get one of these, then if you wanted to make it totally, wireless, then that should be easy enough to do. So anyway, once again, huge thanks for the manufacturer for sending this in for review. I'm always up to solder electronics kits. So if you make educational kind of toys and kits and whatnot, and you would like to see a video feature of me making one and sharing it with everyone, then by all means feel free to reach out to me. I definitely love putting together these kits, even the more annoying ones with like the super tiny parts. I'm still all for it. I'm definitely really keen to pick up the soldering iron. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.